Hey there, fellow hunters. Welcome to the Struggling Hunters podcast, where you have me, Joe, and Eric. We're getting together again tonight to discuss some hunting stories, maybe some strategies. But first, like to get started, need to apologize. I told you guys I was going to go camping this last weekend, but I ended up having to go into work, take care of a couple things. I work on Saturday, and I helped out grandparents with the sprinkler system. And then I actually went for a little drive trying to go up around Mount Nebo. Um, but being that we're still at the end, coming to the end of spring, the road was I guess closed still. We got 3/4 of the way up the mountain and the gates were closed. But so that I told you guys last week I was going to go camping, end up not going camping, but try to do a little drive anyways. But it was nice. We got up in the mountains and out of the city, get some fresh air. But we've still had a good weekend. Eric talked about going turkey hunting this last weekend, or this past Saturday. So did you end up going, Eric?
Yeah, I did. I ended up going Saturday and Sunday. So I hit a couple different places. I'm finding some really neat country, kind of exploring the countryside. I'll kick off Saturday first. So Saturday, well, both places that I went, every pullout, there was campers. The really big camping weekend. It was crazy. I couldn't believe how many campers were out. People camping.
So I guess it's probably doing with the fact that they kind of released a little bit of the COVID-19 regulations, and people felt they can probably go and do something, huh?
I feel like that's part of it. I mean, it was nice weather over here, and yeah, the camping was or everybody was out camping. So that was our first obstacle. Is that I was planning on just pulling over somewhere and kind of going from there, and almost every pull out. I mean, there was places that I didn't even know was a pull out that there was a camper at, or so I mean there was just campers everywhere. But yeah, we ended up going up here around Fruta where I live, and it's called 16 Road. We ended up going up there, and man, it's really beautiful up there. Joe, whenever you get up here at some point, I'll have to take you back in there because it's really, really neat country. Anyway, we climbed this mountain. It was pretty steep. We climbed up it, got to the top, and pulled over and went on a hike. And I was with my son Carter. He did great. He did really great at first, or for the first while. And the best thing about hunting is being able to take your son. And sometimes the worst thing about hunting is having to take your son, if you will. So we got to a point, like I said, at first he did great. He was quiet. He was working with me, but he got a little bit tired, and then he thought he was hungry, and then he thought he was thirsty. And at one point we had some trail mix in our little day pack. And so I'm sitting there, I'm trying to do a few calls and, trying to see if I could get any activity going. And I hear him, with his hand in the bag of trail mix. And I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. Anyway, I mean, telling him to be quiet is a challenge in itself for sure. But he's learning, and that's really what it's about too, is just, trying to get him out there. And as time goes on, he learns a little bit all the time and stuff. So that was Saturday. We ended up there wasn't much activity going on. We went back to the house, whatever. And Sunday we went to another area up toward Uncompahgre that's over here in Colorado. We went up that mountain, and kind of the same as you. We went up quite a ways, but they had their gate closed too. It probably won't open till, I'd imagine, the end of the month. But they had their gate closed too, so we had to turn around. But we went off on this one little road that I've never been on before, and it was called Cactus Park, which I'll bring back around here in a minute to make sense of that. But we got out and we started walking, just a little ways away from the truck, and at one point there was this little cactus that I like kicked with one shoe or with my one foot, and it came up and hit me in the calf, and it hurt like a son of a gun. for just, but it stuck right into my leg, and I pulled it out, and I was like, oh man, those things are all over around here. I was like, Carter, be careful. So anyways, we kind of go walking a ways, and same thing, not really much activity. So we decided to go back to the truck. Well, on the way back to the truck, Carter, he gets hit. He gets one in his foot. So he's like, Dad, I got one in my foot. And I said, all right, well, I was like, here, sit down and I'll pull it out. So he sits down.
No.
He jumps back up. And he's like, I got one in my butt, Dad. So long story short, we had to pull that one out, and then he kind of outsmarted me, so we were we left and everything, we got the cactus out of his butt and everything, and we got back to the truck, hopped in, and we started driving away. And I said, man, I can't believe how many cactuses out there. It's crazy how many. And he looks at me and he says, duh, Dad, it's Cactus Park. And I was like, well, you got me there, son. So that was kind of my weekend in a nutshell. It was a lot of entertaining moments. That's the funnest part about taking him is there's hardly ever a dull moment. But
I gotta say though, when 2 years ago when we went out hunting, and we had, I think it was the third season, and Carter came along with us, and we went, did those little hikes, and we're heading up the trail, and I had such a kick of him going in front of me, like he was, I don't know, like pretending he was a football player or something, but he would just like run through the bushes or take out a bush, for like no reason, just be walking along, and all of a sudden, like, bam, take that bush.
I remember that.
I took some video of it, but
do you think you still have that?
Yeah, I still have that.
Oh, we should definitely put it on our Instagram. Oh, speaking to everybody out there that's going to listen to this, we have an Instagram. I believe it's at the Struggling Hunters.
Yeah.
Go there, check it out, follow us. We're going to be putting some good stuff up there in the future, but yeah, we should definitely post that one, because that's good stuff. That's solid gold right there. I remember you showing me the video, and I was just cracking up through the whole thing. But yeah, so that was my weekend in a nutshell. I did so I was shooting my gun. I was shooting my 12 gauge, just kind of getting a feel for it, because I haven't shot it at all this year, even though I went out turkey hunting a few times and stuff. But there was this little turnoff where you could, kind of designed for target practice and stuff. So I was shooting my 12 gauge, and I noticed that it was a little stiff. So this was on Saturday, so I got back to the house, and I had to oil it all up and everything. So the cartridges were getting stuck in the rifle. So I think that's what it was. I haven't tried it since. The other thing is my rifle says it can take 3-inch shell and
shells.
Yeah, and 2 3/4 inch, 2 3/4 inch.
Uh-huh.
And I usually always shoot 2 3/4, but I got 3-inch. So I don't know if the 3-inch had something to do with it, but but I was kind of inspecting it, trying to figure out why that cartridge wouldn't come out. And I kind of thought maybe, well, I was like, well, maybe I haven't really oiled this thing in a minute, so maybe that's part of it. But I don't know if that was it or not. But
I'm sure that putting some oil on it probably helped out more than anything.
yeah, no, it was definitely kind of I definitely kind of dropped the ball on that. But luckily it wasn't while I was hunting. It was just target practice. But yeah, so that's kind of all I got for the weekend.
Yeah, it still sounds like you at least got out and got to go out in the woods. And sorry, I got my puppy here with me.
Yeah. The star of the show down there.
But yeah. So, but anyways, I got thinking, trying to help people to get to know us a little bit better. Trying to. Did you hear that beep? I wonder if something's dying, like batteries. Anyways, talk about how some of our successful hunts that we've had over the years growing up or whatnot. Of actually taking down a game animal and what possibly learn from that to help you for a better hunter the next time. What do you got? Do you want to go first or?
Yeah, I can go first. I got a doozy. And hopefully he hears this podcast and cracks up the whole time. But my buddy, well, him, Josh Prado.
Yeah.
Me and him were hunting one year, and it was getting toward the end of the year, and I was striking out all year long. I was, trying to go for a buck, but I just wasn't seeing bucks for nothing. And like I said, it was toward the end of the year, and up in Idaho where we were hunting, we could, get you could do buck or doe.
Right.
At least at that time you could.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're heading out, and we saw this decent sized doe kind of go down, and I mean it was a drop off, right? I mean it was a cliff pretty much. But I was getting antsy to get something, and anyway, so we jump out, we're checking it out off the side of the road, and I'm like, man, yeah, it had to have been like the last day or two of our hunt season, because I don't know why I made the decision to do this, but anyways, I made the decision to go ahead and shoot it. Pulled up, I shot. Thing falls down.
So you're saying, so you pulled up, you found the doe, and it was, did you say above or below you?
It was below us, off on a cliff.
Okay.
So it was straight down, and it's a doe, right? But I was wanting meat. It was getting toward the end of the season, and I've been striking out all season, so I wanted some meat. So I shot this doe, and that thing, of course, doesn't just fall down and, or try to crawl itself up on the road for us or anything. It decides to tumble almost to the bottom. So Josh, he looks at me and he's like, "You gotta be kidding me." And I'm like, "What, man? We could go down there and grab that thing, and bring it right up." Well, I underestimated my strength. I underestimated the whole thing. We go down there, and it's even steep as we're going down the face of the cliff. Like it's even steeper than what I even thought it was, right? And I'm like, how are we gonna pull this thing up? Another part, my aunt and uncle were behind us, so they were coming up behind us. But we go diving off the cliff, and we're going down there, and I mean it was probably a couple hundred yards. The moral to the story is we pulled down that thing. We pulled that thing up the mountain, right? and we pulled and we pulled. And I mean, I never worked so hard for a deer. And so we finally got it up, and then we got to a point where, we had like 50 yards of rope, or maybe 75 at the most. I don't know. So we utilized the pickup. We threw down the rope, tied the deer off to the rope, utilized the ball hitch to kind of help, pull it. So we'd pull it up a few feet, and then, my aunt and uncle would secure it to the ball hitch on the truck or whatever, so it wouldn't fall back down. And we ended up finally getting it to the top of the road. Long story short, two things is, if it doesn't have horns, don't shoot something that's straight off of a cliff 200-300 yards. The second thing is no matter how desperate you are, double think of what you're doing. Like, save yourself a lot of work, because I worked hard for that. But I will say that I enjoyed that deer for, the rest of the winter and however long it lasted. I definitely enjoyed it because I worked really hard for that thing. But yeah, that was one of my stories is just the time I shot a doe off of the steep side of a mountain.
Yeah. So I guess before you shoot something, you try to hunt above the car or below the car? In other words,
I should have added that. So yeah, always hunt above the car, never below the car. especially if it doesn't have horns. For two reasons. Obviously, I don't consider myself a trophy hunter, but yeah, I mean, obviously I want horns, so I guess I am a trophy hunter. But the second reason is so you have something to hold on to. Because, like, what we had to do is if I remember right, we cut slits in the legs and, pulled it up that way. But I mean, it was the most I ever worked trying to get a deer in the back of a pickup. So
from the time you shot till the time you got up to the truck, back up on the road, how long do you think that was?
It was so long ago I can't really remember, but it had to have been a couple hours or more.
I was gonna say, so it was a 200-yard shot, maybe, and then it tumbled down to pretty much the bottom of the ravine, and then so more or less, it's hard to say. Maybe it rolled 100 yards at the most, right? So it took you a couple hours to go up 300 yards.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it was give or take something like that. And honestly, though, I mean, I'm so glad Josh was there, though, because I mean, he was a trooper. He helped me out the whole way, and and he was cussing me all the way home and everything else. But he helped me out, and so I really appreciate that. But yeah, that was like my biggest lesson ever is like, just don't shoot at a doe downhill. I mean, it's as simple as that, because it's a pain in the butt to pull those things out of the woods. I guess if I would have been thinking, I don't think I had a pack back then, or a meat pack. But if I would have been thinking, I probably would have just. We did gut it and everything down there in the bottom, but if I would have been thinking, I would have maybe tried to grab a pack or something, just kind of put it more on my back or something. But I don't know if any of us even had a pack back then, or on that hunt, I should say.
Right.
So I think that's why we were dragging it up the hill.
Probably not. So, but that being said, so I was kind of unsure what to share, but hearing your story, and I thought maybe I'd share my story of shooting something that was downhill, and it turned out to be a all day thing. But a couple years ago, more than a couple, it was like 10 years ago. my brother, so it happened to be with a guy named Josh, my brother.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But so I was living in Bountiful, and I'd hunt. I do a lot of hunting. You know, it's no secret place. A lot of hunting, deer hunting above Bountiful, up on the benches along the Wasatch Front. Um, and so like I, you know, I did some scouting, found a spot, and I turned up 2 bucks one day. So I was like, oh, I'm coming back into this spot open in the morning, and I'm gonna hunt this area. So you know, so me and my brother Josh, we get up in the morning. I think we get up at like 3 in the morning or something like that, and we hop into this little Suzuki Sidekick and buzz up the hill, and then we park. It took us like an hour and a half ish to get up to where we even parked, and then from there it was another 2 hour ish and a half, 2.5 hour hike to where I spotted these deer a couple days before. I think it might have been a week before. But so as we're going in, you know, I'm growing up there in Idaho and hunting like we did. You know, we had all access to all sorts of wilderness to hunt, public lands, and so I'm not used to having people who at the time hunting around me. So I'm thinking I'm backpacking in, you know, quite a ways. I'm like, oh, no one else is going to be in here. And but you know, as I'm going up, I'm still seeing trucks parked off on the side of the road. And I get back to where I was at, and I think I was the only truck that parked back where I was at. So I'm thinking I'm by myself, besides my brother. We we get up there, and I didn't get up there quite as early as I wanted. The sun was already coming up. But like as we're hiking in, we passed some dude's little spike camp. Like, you know, he just had like a little one-man tent, and I don't know if the dude was in there or not, but we walked like right past him, and we finally get to where I was wanting to get to, and we passed another hunter on another ridge, and then there's another hunter kind of on the other side of the ridge where I'm hunting. So I put my brother on one side. We're on this ridge. I put him on one side, and I go on the other side, of course, where I saw the deer because I want to get them. So, but as we're so this story has like so much in it. So we're sitting there, and as we're hiking in, Josh realizes his bladder bag on his backpack is leaking. So he only came up in a sweatshirt, and so his sweatshirt that he had on was just sopping wet all down the back. And so I put him on, like I said, put him on the one side. Sun comes up, and I was, you know, like we're seeing other people, and I was getting discouraged. I was almost like, you know, let's get out of here. And so he comes over, sits with me, and you know, I'm looking like clear across this canyon to the other side, you know, trying to find something to find it and stock onto it. And Josh, you know, Josh is just sitting there shivering cold, and so we had the sun coming up from our back, you know, so we were looking to the west, and the sun was coming up in the east, and I'm, like I said, looking across, and Josh goes, deer. And I look over at him like, oh no, I'm still looking through my glasses. He's like, deer. And I was like, is it a buck? Yeah. I'm like, well, shoot it. And he's like, I can't. So I look over at him. He had his hands pulled inside his sweatshirt, and so, you know, he had to like get back out through his sweatshirt to be able to shoot it. And so I was like, where? He's like, it's right there. And literally, no joke, this deer was like 30 yards from us.
Oh
Maybe,
man.
okay, maybe 40 yards, but no more than 50. And we had this. So he had to have been. He was right. I think he was right in front of a big boulder. So that's probably why I didn't see him there at first. And so I look over, see that he doesn't have his, you know, he can't get his arms out. So I pull up my rifle and I shoot it, and, you know, one shot it drops, and we're like, yeah, we got it. And it's only like, it's 10 o'clock open in the morning, you know? So I'm like, oh yeah, 10 o'clock, we'll be home. We'll be home by like 2. What a great weekend. This is awesome. I opened in the morning and filled my tag, and it was a 4x4, and he was a decent 4x4 for the area, really good buck. And so I was stoked. We go, tell Jen, call up my wife, and hey Jen, we got my buck. We should be home, by this time. Yeah, we got this. And so me and Josh go down there. We start field dressing it, and so not to take anything away from your story about how steep it was. Like, if you imagine how steep a wall is,
Yeah.
that's about how steep this was. Like, it was literally just, it was
up and down.
Yeah, straight up and down.
Yeah. I mean, there was a little bit, like, for us, like, that's, yeah, there was it was a slope, like, but it was, I don't know what percentage of grade it was, but ours was steep, but yeah, yours was more of a wall, it sounds like.
It maybe not quite, but it was, it was steep.
Yeah.
And so we get to, after we dressed it out, we're like, all right, now what are we gonna do? And I've never hunted mule deer before and in that steep of country, so but I'm always used to taking a deer out whole. And so we look at each other like, well, let's start dragging it up the hill. So we were like, we grabbed the horns, and it's all we could do to pull it up, like one pull at a time, and we're looking at each other like, dude, this sucks. And so I was like, well, what else can we do? So we decide to quarter it. So we skin it all out right there, and then we quarter it up, cut the back straps out and everything, and somehow we get up to like the ridge line, and I can't remember exactly what. So, and then we find a pole, and that we can put. We're like, oh, let's just string it across between us, and we'll take it out that way. Well, Josh, I feel bad looking back now. So Josh is like completely out of water, and we're going along, and we were out of shape too. Like, we'd go a few steps, set it down, and we were just huffing and puffing, and like we were, like a good couple of miles, or probably like 2.5, 3 miles back to the truck, and but it took us all day to get back to the truck. Like,
oh man,
we didn't get. I think I shot it at 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't think we got back to the truck till like I think it was like 9:30, or maybe it took us 8 hours to get back, or more, I guess, to get back to the truck. I don't know where the time went, but I think we'd only take 2 steps at a time and put the the meat down.
wow.
But, so we get back to what's that?
How far away from you, or how far away were you from the truck?
I think 2 miles.
Well, that's still a pretty good hike, but
yeah,
still.
And so we get back to the truck, this little Suzuki Sidekick, and I go to start it, and it won't turn over. It won't start. And so, and I was like, oh, great. So Josh is like, what do we do now? Like, well, luckily it was a manual, so like, well, we popped the clutch. So we were on just a little bit of a decline, just a slight decline. So I was like, okay, you give us a push, I'll pop the clutch, and we'll be off on our way. He's like, okay. So he gets back there, and he pushes us, and I go, and so we just had a little bit. I don't remember how far it was, but it wasn't much. It was a little bit of a descent before it started climbing back up. And so I had to like find that right time to try to pop the clutch before we started heading up the hill. So I try to pop the clutch, and nothing happens. So we're like, all right, what do we do now? I was like, well, I guess we push it back up the hill and try it again. So we pushed it up as far as we can, back up the hill as far as we can get it, which wasn't all that far. And we tried pushing it again, and popped the clutch, and nothing. We didn't go quite fast enough. And so I was like, so he's now what? It's like, well, I called Jen. I was like, hey, we're stuck. It won't start. So she called her dad, and her dad was like, she's like, I'll call my dad. We'll get him to come up there. And I was like, okay. So he calls me up, and I was like, he's like, where you at? And I was like, so I kind of tell him, and he takes off, and then my brother Josh is sitting there. He's all, Joe, it's 10 o'clock. I was like, yeah. So it takes him an hour to get up here, right? Yeah. And so then it's an hour back down, right? Like, yeah. So he's like, an hour up here, it'll be 11 o'clock. An hour back down, it's midnight. I think this is what, in my head, this is what he says. He goes, I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I want to shower. And so he's like, let's push it back up one more time. And this time you push it and I'll pop the clutch. All right, let's do it. So, we push it. Well, like, no joke, it was as far up the hill that we can get it, like to where it was like, you're holding it. I can't go any further.
Yeah.
And so I get back there on the backside of it, and so I'll be like, here's my train of thought. I still remember to this day. I go, all right, Joe, we got to go back to the football days of pushing that sled, So he goes, my brother goes, all right, you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. And so he's all right, let's go. So I start pushing, and in my head I'm going, dig, 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 dig. And so we're pushing it, and I start yelling, pop the clutch, pop the clutch. And so he pops the clutch, and it fires it up. So keep your foot on that gas pedal, do not let off. And so I pick up the phone, and I call Jen. I was like, Jen, we got to start it, and we're coming home. And I called my father-in-law and I was like, hey, we're starting, we're heading down. But dude, tell you what though, man, that was like an all-day process, and we wore ourselves out. But it was, what did I learn from that? Take a good pack that you can pack something out in, and so what if you have to make 2 or 3 trips, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I could have used that lesson too. Just, it probably would have been 10 times easier if I would have quartered it out, and my situation down at the bottom, and or even maybe figured out to take a half, at a time, and
Right.
And but instead we thought we'd just pull the whole thing up, and in some ways it was that wasn't a bad idea, because we were dragging it on the ground, so it kept it cleaner by leaving all the hide on and not quartering it out and stuff. But yeah, I think that's kind of, I guess that's a little bit difference between like Idaho, because I never really wore packs or anything, like meat packs or any pack frames. I never really wore too many in Idaho. It wasn't until I came out here that I realized I needed to step my game up and start thinking about packs and stuff.
Right. The other thing too is make sure that you have a good battery in your vehicle, and parking somewhere where you can maybe get a little bit better of a downhill advantage if you have a manual and you can pop the clutch. But,
oh yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I wasn't hunting, but I was camping one time, and that situation came up. It was my own fault, but I was listening to the radio, blah blah blah, out camping, fall asleep. I turned the radio off and everything, but it ran long story short, it ran the battery out enough that the next morning, whenever it was time to pack up camp and head home, I couldn't start my truck. And it was like on a Sunday. I had my motorcycle at the time, so what I did is I just I booked it, and I can't remember how far. I had to ride a little ways. I had to ride a little ways to find another camper, but I just talked to them for a bit, and you know, I didn't know who they were or anything, but this was up in Idaho too. But I didn't know who they were or anything, but I just was like, hey, you know, can you stop by and give us a jump? And he was nice enough. He jumped us and stuff, but it was quite the experience. There's not a more like you feel like alone and kind of lost feeling whenever your truck doesn't start to get you back, for sure.
Right. You know, you're sitting there like, oh man, now I gotta get someone else out here. You know, like
Yeah.
I was an idiot.
Well, this was whenever this happened to me, the truck situation. This was in Idaho, up in El Dorado campgrounds or around there, or I can't remember where it was, but it was in that general area. But it was back there. No cell phone coverage. I didn't even have. I mean, this was way back in the day, so I didn't even have a cell phone. This is whenever there was no cell phones around there. But so yeah, it would have been one heck of a hike to get all the way back to the first house. I don't know if this guy named Mike. So in the wintertime, me and my buddies, this kind of falling off of hunting a little bit, but me and my buddies would go up there in that El Dorado area and try to make it so they stopped doing snow maintenance so far back in there on the top of I can't remember where Hastries Mill is, and anyway, I don't know. It was way back in there, and they stopped doing road maintenance so far back in there, and we'd always try to make it through all the way around over to Weeye, and then it never failed though. Every year we'd get stuck about halfway in there. I don't know why we did this every year, but we'd get stuck about halfway back in there and have to literally walk 5, 7, 8 miles or whatever to the nearest house. And this guy Mike would always come. He wouldn't always go out there to try to get us out. Like we'd have to figure that out the next day. Like have a couple other trucks with us to pull each other out or whatnot. But he would always like give us a ride or at least give us the phone or give us the ride to somewhere, you know. And nice guy. So glad he did that. But yeah, he saved our butts a lot back this was clear back in high school. But do you remember that 66 Chevy I used to have?
Yeah.
So one time I went down there. I can't think of the name of it, but I went down there and that 66 was only a 2-wheel drive, and I had no business doing this. And I wasn't trying to go. I was just going for a drive up there, and I went to that gravel pit to turn around because that's about where the road maintenance stopped. It was right there at the gravel pit. So I was just turning around there, but it'd been snowing, and so I tried to climb up out of there, and man, it scared the crap out of me. So I was climbing up out of there and I started sliding, or I started just spinning out, and I went backwards. I spun out backwards, or I was going backwards, couldn't go forward anymore, and it started sliding me backwards and almost off the edge of the cliff there. I mean, it was about a 15, 20 foot drop off to the edge, and scared the crap out of me. But I walked up there and Mike, he lived like, I don't know, quarter of a mile, half a mile away from that turnaround. I walked up there and he pulled me out and everything, and it was all good. But I had the moral of that story is I had no business taking that 66. It had a 327 in it, 2-wheel drive, 1966 Chevy. Had no business up there on the snowy roads, but for, you know, being young and dumb, as you said a few podcasts ago, full of testosterone and go juice, I thought that I could make it up around there, I guess. So, but yeah, good times.
No, for sure. Yeah. Um, let's see. I'm drawing a blank.
I can't even remember how we got on the whole getting stuck, exiting hunting stories and getting stuck,
Right.
but yeah, I used to do that all the time whenever I was a kid. It was just a ton of fun doing that up there, and God, I was always out in the woods whenever I was a kid. But yeah,
Anyways, so I wanted to talk. So do you realize how close we are to the hunt season?
uh, what
I
are we,
guess that's more for me than more for you.
for you? It's about what, 3 months?
Yeah, that's one thing I kind of thought was I being so new to the archery season, you know, I it's 3 months away. Like that's
Yeah,
really nothing, you know.
yeah, it's gonna come. It's gonna come a lot quicker than you
Yeah.
realize. Um, what are you gonna go camping out there? Or are you gonna try to drive back home every night?
I'll camp out. Well, it depends on what I got, how I feel about doing the area, but I'll probably turn it into um, a camping thing at least once or twice, just because I can. And the other thing though that I'm waiting to find out too is where I've drawn out for my deer tags.
Mm,
Because that with that coming up, I should probably be putting some time somewhere. But I want to get a trail camera set up and try to get some action, getting that hit with some deer. But I don't want to go put one up just yet because I don't know, where my tag's going to be good for yet, or even I draw out for a archery deer tag this year. Um, and then I got to kind of wait, for the area where I'm going to be hunting elk to thaw out a little bit more. I think was looking up in the mountains now. It looks like that the snow has kind of receded quite a bit, but I don't quite know what the roads are like to get up there, and I want to give it just a little bit longer, just so that way they thaw out a little bit, and I don't have to work so hard to get up there. But yeah, so that's I'm probably going to be kicking it up a little bit higher um, about getting ready for my archery hunt. So with that being said, too, I'll want to start, watch for some videos on our YouTube channel of me prepping with my bow to hopefully shoot something uh, this year.
yeah, for sure. That'll be fun. And then hopefully I can get up there. It'd be nice to get up there and go hunting with you. I mean, I'm sure I can. Just kind of got to figure out when and where, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, we'll try to make some videos with that and try to do a camp out podcast maybe or something. We'll try. I mean, we got to work out the details, but I think we could figure something out. And but yeah, I'll try to get over there and help you out, help you.
yeah, no, that's for sure. I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to getting out there with you and you getting some scouting in for some elk. Trying to get that going too. Um, I don't know what I I've been trying to think of things for the elk side of things. I think we need to focus a little bit more on trying to. I think we talked about a little bit, couple or our first podcast, or maybe it was the second. But anyways, trying to you know find some timber. I think a couple of things I've heard, um, uh, food, timber, benches, north facing slopes, and that type of thing. So, you know, trying then doing that, and then trying to find out some little things for the for deer, for that time of year. I don't know quite. I haven't quite figured out, maybe some good spots to key into on deer. But I'll be sharing that as I learn.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have to draw for your deer tags over there?
You do, yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so do I. I I'm embarrassed to say it, but I missed my first draw, but you get a second chance draw in on June 7th. So I thought it was later. I thought it was like this month, and
Uh-huh.
what was it? I think the draw deadline was like April something. But I thought I had a little more time, and then I went and grabbed the regulations one night, or I was looking at them online or something. I can't remember what. But anyways, I was looking at them, and yeah, it said, that it ended at some time, and I'm like, oh crap, I've already missed that. So I get a second chance in June, but I'm gonna try to draw for a deer tag, and then probably do about the same second season for elk. I'll try to do the
Yeah.
deer tag on the same week, so kind of go for the elk, but last year that's what kind of happened. I would have had me a buck last year if I would have had a deer tag, but going down the road on the 4-wheeler, and this nice mule buck come running out, and I mean 50 yards away and everything, and I'd sit there and stared at it for a minute or so. He was pretty big bodied deer, and he hid behind this tree that was about that big. He thought I couldn't see him, so yeah, I could have had me a deer, but obviously I didn't have a tag, so all I could do is just watch him. So yeah, it was pretty.
Well, just
What's that?
sometimes it's just as fun watching them as it is hunting them.
Yeah,
It's one of those things you don't have the pressure of shooting. Like, do I take the shot or do I not take the shot? Is it a shot?
yeah,
Should I shoot? Should I not? So it's kind of fun sometimes just to watch them.
yeah. No, it is. It's it was really fun, but I did regret it a little bit. I was like, oh man, I should have had me. I wish I had my deer tag. Then I could have got this guy, but I yeah. So this year, hopefully, I draw out for one and go from there and see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know. I'm getting excited. I got so much stuff I want to get. I want to get because I got that tent, or that canvas tent. I want to get some cots to put in there, a couple cots for sleeping and stuff, and I want to get some good base layers too this year. So I got so much stuff, and like you said, like I didn't think about it, but I got what, another well, I got 2 months longer than you, I think, because it's in October. So I got about 5 months, and I got all this stuff I got to get to hopefully have a better hunt and stuff. But yeah. No, you made me think. I'm like, I need to start budgeting for all that stuff, because those
It's gonna come
cots.
up quick.
Yeah, those cots that I want to get. I want to get the bigger ones, and they're
Bigger as you mean like bigger?
yeah. They're the XLs or whatever. They're just a little wider, and but they're not cheap. So yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll get it. Hopefully I can get them by this year, because the probably the more important thing is the base layers that I want. I mean, they're like $100 a piece, and from QU.
Okay, yeah, cool.
So, yeah.
Um,
Am I losing you or something? It seems like it froze up.
yeah. So, so maybe we'll just go ahead and call this here
Yeah.
tonight because my battery may be dying, I think.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
with that being said, thanks for listening. Eric had a good point there. Trying to prioritize his base layers or his cot. We'll discuss that a little further detail in the next one. Hit the like button, subscribe. We got a podcast. We're out on what podcast links are we on, Eric?
We should be on pretty much all the podcasts out there, platforms. Apple Podcasts being your biggest one, Google Podcast, and there's like 6 or 7 more of the other ones like that. But pretty much all your bigger podcasts. We're pretty much on every platform. Just a couple of them that we're not. What's that?
I said, cool.
Oh. But yeah, guys, engage with us. We're trying to pump these out. We're trying to get them out every week. But definitely show your support. Engage with us. Find us on Facebook and Instagram, also, and engage. Like and subscribe and leave a comment. Shout out to your sister. She's been commenting like crazy. So really appreciate that. Thanks, Becca. You're the best. And with that, guys, thanks for listening to the Struggling Hunters. I'm good. You, Joe?
Yeah, I'm good. We'll talk to you guys later.
Later, guys.